Munster tonight, they're off to Benetton. We've been discussing a little bit earlier that Benetton obviously in good form. They dug it out against Leinster last weekend. A hodgepodge side from Munster tonight.
Yeah, it's a weaker side, and Johan van Graan has made that decision. And you know, I spoke earlier in the week about if it was my choice, I would have tried to gone as strong as I could there. But look, there is a bigger picture here, and the bigger picture is Saracens next week, and you've got to rely on squad depth. And maybe if you played a full strength side tonight, that their minds might have drifted towards next week, and some guys might have been minding themselves and the travel, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, to be fair, you've got to trust the coach. It mightn't work out for him.
No.
Benetton have made one change. They've all their Italian internationals playing. They got a great result in Dublin last week. So it's a real test for this Munster side now, and there's a lot of guys there who will be chomping at the bit to try and prove a point, and they're getting a responsibility. It's still a decent, very good team, but you're away from home. Here's a team that's sitting third in the playoff positions at Conference B. They've won 10 games. They've lost 7, 2 draws. It's remarkable, and it's brilliant to see them right up there. So you can imagine their determination and their desire to try and win tonight, which would effectively, you know, keep them in the hunt going into the last weekend and keep in a very strong position of finishing third and being in the playoffs and being in Europe next year, Adrian, which is massive. So it's a tough task, but the risk maybe the risk of getting guys injured.
Normally going to Italy, throw out your second team, everything will be grand. It's just the difficulty being that they're trying to lock down their spot.
And that's good. It's good that it's different, isn't it? And even Zebra, even though they haven't won, they're bottom of Conference A. They've only won 3 games and lost 16, but they've been far more competitive. The games that Zebra have lost, even some of them on the road, have been very encouraging. So that's the whole reason why the Italians there, and everybody wants them to improve in the Pro 14, and it's brilliant. And there's a lot of good structures, and there's a lot of good players coming through. So that's good to see, but it's a challenge. That's a tough challenge for them. Connacht, they play Cardiff. They have a chance to guarantee playoffs. If they win there, they can't be caught then by Cardiff at the weekend. And Glasgow, Munster will be looking for Leinster to do them a favour.
Yeah.
It's like something that'll happen now that Munster will lose to Benetton and Leinster will do them the favour. It won't matter because I think it'll be back in. But Glasgow, look, it's in their hands. If they get something in Dublin, get a win in Dublin, they're at home to Edinburgh the following week, which they've lost to twice already. Edinburgh are very strong this year, but you know, it's Munster have taken that gamble, and maybe.
We'll only know once it happens. One of the most interesting selections for me for the weekend was for that, you mentioned Edinburgh Ulster tonight. Jacob Stockdale, 15 for Ulster, played there for Ireland under-20s. Is this Joe Schmidt looking at everything that's gone on over the last couple of months and made a little quiet call to Dan McFarland and said, listen, I need some backup here, put him in?
I'm not sure, but look, he played so well for Ireland in the 2016 under-20s when they got to the final, and he's multi-talented. He can do that.
Was he playing there regularly at that time, or was that a stopgap?
No, he's played a couple of times there for Ulster, but he's played in the under-20s at fullback and underage rugby at fullback, so it's something that for sure he can do. I think, look, you go back to the Robbie Henshaw gamble or against England to see if we could kind of get some more depth at fullback, because that prospect isn't done though, is it? Like, I mean, no, it's not, and I wouldn't be against Robbie Henshaw going back there again. Ireland had a bad day at the office that day, and a lot of people focused on maybe the gamble at fullback and stuff like that. But the more guys you can get to play there who have that versatility in the back three, brilliant. He has a big boot of the ball. He's a left peg as well. And he's very strong and physical. It takes a bit of time, and the way the game has gone with the kicking trend in rugby, the aerial battles are vital. And Rob Kearney, that's why he keeps coming back, and people keep talking about, and he keeps responding to some criticism at times about his attacking game. he's so good in the air, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Stockdale goes. And again, it's 6 months out from World Cup. If he has a run at full back, it's another option for Joe Schmidt.
Defence is obviously the thing that we assume is his biggest weakness, obviously, which is kind of surprising in that context.
And it's not the physicality or the ability. It's sometimes the read from a wing, from the wing, or his positional sense at times where, you know, we've seen him get a lot of intercept tries and stuff like that. It's a different type of defending. You're kind of last man as a fullback at times, and so yeah, it'll be interesting. I think he has a capability. He's a very, very talented player, and you know, hopefully he'll respond. I think they had a bit of a hangover last week, Ulster, when they went to Glasgow and got well beaten. So it's another tough one back in Edinburgh tonight for them, and they've got to try and get a result there because they've Leinster at home the last week, and I wouldn't, you know, that's a tough ask at home, even though Leinster will be qualified, and you know, so getting something done tonight for Ulster will be really important.
Okay.
And like I said last week, hopefully we'll have 4 Irish teams in the playoffs.
Any big predictions for next week?
Big predictions for next week. God, it's a bit of time out. Yeah, look, it depends. You know, Carberry probably won't make it at this stage, and I think you know, Munster will back Tyler Blandell, and I think it's going to be very difficult for him. There's no doubt about that. It depends what kind of side Saracens have as well, but they have a lot of depth and strength, and
nobody will be talking about the Munster winning it, which is maybe the best position for Munster. Has always been the best.
I think Mark McCall will be very conscious of that, and they came to Dublin 2 years ago, and there was a real kind of rallying cry for Munster in Dublin, and it'd be, you know, it just didn't work. Saracens control that game. They're an exceptionally good side, and that's the reality of it, and you know, so it'll be a very tough task, but look, they'll be fresh, they'll be ready, and I think, you know, there'll be less expectation for them to win this one, and that could make them very, very dangerous. They need to get a 9 or 10 out of 9 out of 10 from everyone across the board, and stop Saracens at source. But they're a very good side. For Toulouse, then Leinster, you know, I said in round 5 I thought Toulouse could go to Dublin and upset them. So they didn't, but they've kind of found their mojo again after that. So that'll be an interesting one on Sunday. But I think it'll be a Saracens Leinster final, I think.
Right.
I hope I'm wrong. It'd be brilliant if it was a Munster Leinster final. It'd be incredible. You can imagine the scenes in Newcastle, and our little wager on it then, myself and yourself.
What are we? Oh yeah. I mean, I'd take on some of that action.
You'd have to give me some odds.
Not at all. Go out of that. Sure. I mean, you'd surely back your team. You don't need odds. You'd surely back your team.
Oh, you're the champion, sir.
You have little time to catch up on 7 seasons of Game of Thrones, but you're going to start watching it at all at any point?
Well, not after
it's
what
very
Conor
good.
said. No.
I thought that would have.
I'm not.
Israel Folau is not going to be watching Game of Thrones anytime soon. It strikes me that ticks a lot of those boxes on his list.
Maybe he'll be in Game of Thrones next, because he mightn't be playing rugby for a while.
For the chap. Quinny, thanks million for coming in. Enjoy your weekend. That's Alan Quinlan all the weekends, rugby and more as well. We're going to be talking Masters next here on OTB AM with John Duggan en route. Just a reminder too that you can listen to the show every morning, of course, on offtheball.com. Just like a breakfast sports radio show. You just hit listen on the site, minimise, and go about your morning, commute, whatever it is you're up to. If you're driving on the bus to Lewis and you just can't watch us, then that is the way to do it. So go to offtheball.com and click on the giant big listen button right there up in the top right. So